Hello and welcome back to Aubrey, Books, and Coffee. Please grab your favorite beverage of choice and join me. It is July, you guys. I am excited. I have so many fun things I cannot wait to share with you this month. And I'm excited because I'm going to continue swimming and enjoying that lazy river I told you about. And also we have a fun interview with an author that had a self-published book that recently hit a bestseller list. So many good things, plus our usual sprints and the usual unboxings and things like that. So I hope you join me for all of the fun and madness that happens as I go through my TBR for this particular video, as well as in the future with other videos. So without further ado, and obviously not being able to speak like a functioning adult, I'm going to go ahead and get going on those rules. Hooray, it's July, and with that, it brings a new TBR game. So let's roll to see how many rolls we get. Hopefully not too many, because I'm carrying over from last month for the first time. Ooh, 6. I will happily take that. See if I can get it in focus this time. There we go. So 6 rolls it is. First roll. I apologize if you hear any meowing. Stevie doesn't like being locked out, but I didn't want him causing chaos here. And the first prompt is a coffee cup. I will get this to focus eventually. There we go. How's that? And so when I grab the first card, for the coffee cup prompt, it says science fiction. So 6 isn't so bad. I can totally do 6 books. We all know by now it won't end at 6 though, right? Well, for my first prompt though, I got science fiction. I don't do a lot of science fiction outside of Star Wars. So this is always kind of a fun challenge for me. A lot of times I have to get my husband's recommendations, and that's how I fell in love with Mira Grant and her amazing series with I think it's called Parasite or Parasitology series. And so I always love when this pops up because it does get me out of my comfort zone a little bit, but it makes sure I grow. So the one I'm going to choose actually has been very popular lately, and that is In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune. You may remember last month I read my first T.J. Klune with The Extraordinaries and loved it. And I know that was a YA versus this is more of an adult book, but I have a feeling I'm still going to love the writing style. From what I understand, this is science fiction because a gentleman by the name of Victor lives in a tree with 3 robots. Oh yeah, apparently one is like a really super annoying nursemaid and stuff like that. They all have their own personality, which sounds so cute. Well, I guess Victor goes out salvaging one day and finds a robot named Hap, like HAP capitals. And whenever he starts to refurbish Hap, things start coming up that show that Hap used to hunt humans. Apparently there's an accidental disclosure of their home and where they're located and that a human lives there. So somebody gets kidnapped. They have to go rescue. Apparently there's just utter chaos. That's all I know. But I am so there for it and I cannot wait to read it. Roll number 2 is a roll again. I choose a coffee. I do love my coffees. And the prompt says newest publication date. Just had it in focus. I don't know why it gives me a hard time. There we go. Newest publication date. Roll number 2 gave us the newest publication date prompt, which I am so excited because I chose a 2023 novel, Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Now this one, if you'll remember, was one of my top 3 new releases for the year that I was so excited to have come out, so I cannot wait to read it. It's going to be following 2 journalists that actually hate each other. There's gods that are warring in the background. And so it's basically going to be they have to band together and work together. And it's going to be that trope I love so much, the enemies to lovers. Oh, I can't wait. Not only that, but I bought this one because I was so excited it was coming out as an edition on one of my Book of the Month picks. And so that's why I had this one. Then in a book box, I got this edition of it. So if it's not a 5-star, it'll be up for grabs. And then in another book box, I got this edition of it, which again will also be up for grabs. I certainly don't need 3 copies of the same book. And I really want to make sure you guys get to have beautiful editions in our drawings if I don't keep it on my own shelf. And even if I do keep it, I won't be keeping both. So one of these will be for you guys. And I hope that if you read it as well, you'll enjoy it too. Let me know. Roll number 3. Ooh, a roll again. I'm going to do a cookie. I've not had a cookie yet in real life either. And it is a Ryan pick. Aww. So our third prompt was a Ryan pick, and it's always a mixed bag. Is it going to be something amazing, or is it going to be something horrible? We never know. Thankfully, he decided to play it safe and allow me to continue a series that I loved the first one of. And again, kind of a sci-fi theme, which is so cool. Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is book 2 following the Illuminae files. Loved the first one. I thought it was fantastic, especially the audio. They had different voices for different characters and sound effects, and it was sarcastic and banter and love and fun. Well, apparently we continue. And this time what happens is we're going to be following, I believe it's Hannah, who's the captain's daughter, and she's spoiled. And then Nick, who is a reluctant member of a crime family. And they're going to have to, I guess, band together and try to save themselves whenever their space station gets attacked by assassins. So I'll let you guys know. Roll number 4. A book. That's always good. And the book says, book with a pink cover. So prompt number 4 was a pink cover. I'm fibbing a little bit. There's pink on the cover. I chose Inkblood Sister Scribe by Emma Torres. This, if you'll remember, was my Book of the Month pick for June. And so I really, really wanted to read it because there were little blurbs that said if you liked Ninth House, this is going to feel similar vibes. And so I loved Ninth House, if you'll remember that. So I am all excited to dive into this. It's supposedly a family, the Coloti family, I believe it's called, have been tasked with keeping track of rare and ancient magical books to make sure they don't fall into the wrong hands and they take care of them. But that comes with a heavy price. Sisters Joanna and Esther are never allowed to be together. They are always separate over the continent and all over the world trying to protect these books. Well, unfortunately, one day their dad dies while reading a book neither sister even knew existed. And so they have to get together to figure out what went wrong, what happened, and contain this magic before it runs rampant. This sounds incredible to me. I am so excited. So we'll see. Rule number 5 is a coffee. This is going fast. I love this. And the coffee cup says a standalone fantasy. So prompt number 5 gave us a standalone fantasy, and I chose one that's been on my shelf for a while, and I am so excited to finally get to it, and that's Revel by Lissa Mia Smith. And this is the gorgeous edition. Well, okay, I don't know why I showed you non-sprayed edges, but you're welcome. It is still a gorgeous edition, though. That'll be up for grabs if it's not a 5-star. And from what I heard, because I wanted to be kind of spoiler-free on this, is it's kind of Night Circus meets Moulin Rouge. Well, you've got me there. And we have the coffee break. Wah, wah. And for our coffee break, we have our little saucer here. Oh, I'm hoping to get caffeine. Please give me caffeine. Let's be a good one. Oh, I get a bookish item. I did last month too. Yay! So for the coffee break, we got Caffeine, which is so exciting. I am so happy. For that, I know this is going to make me sound like a total nerd, and it may not be exciting for you guys, but I chose for my bookish item to be tabs and highlighters. And the reason for that is some of the books that I'm reading now, especially the nonfiction ones, I really want to mark the pages. I want to annotate. I'm not going to dive into full annotation like a lot of other people do. That's still a little more than I'm willing to commit to. But for the ones that, like you'll see pretty soon, actually, with the interview with Jared, I annotated like crazy in his book. And so I wished I'd had cool things like this to do that. So that's what I'm going to have now moving forward. And yeah, I like it. And our last roll is another coffee. So I am well caffeinated for this round of our TBR. And it's my birth year pick. Ooh. And our last prompt was to read a book that actually came out the year of my birth. I hate having to admit what year I was born. Seems like a mean prompt. I think maybe I should rethink these cards and redo them next year. So anyway, not to date myself or anything, but to be true to this game and to you guys and not just re-roll because I didn't like it, I'm going to be reading Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews. Now, I know that a TV show came out. I think there's been movies of this as well, and I'm trying to be as spoiler-free as possible. The book doesn't always match the movie. So like with Jaws, I read that book. That was before my time. But I still read it one summer, and I thought the book was okay, but the ending was a huge letdown. I think whenever they did the movie, the ending in that was much better, and that hardly ever happens. Normally the book's much better. So I'm hoping in this instance that the book will just blow me away and will be incredible. For what I remember whenever I saw the TV series of it, though, it had a mother whose husband died, and she took her children with her to go live with her father. She's trying to smooth her father into giving her money so that she and the children can go live happily ever after. And unfortunately, there's some bad things and bad blood. And because of that, she has to lock them in the attic, and it's about their survival up there. So we'll see. I remember it being kind of dark and twisty, so not always the favorite thing to read for me, but I have always wanted to read it, so now I'm going to. So now let's see what happens in our Apothecary Jar. Now I'm going to pick from the Apothecary Jar. Let's let it tell me what my fictional fate is going to be. So many to choose from. Iron Widow by Ziran Joy Chow. I am terrible at names, guys. I am so sorry. And I will get this to focus. There we go. So that is my Apothecary Jar pick. So our Apothecary Jar pick was for Iron Widow, which was by, I apologize, Ziran J. Zhao Chow. I am so sorry. All I know about this is it sounds from the description a lot like the movie Pacific Rim. And so I'm kind of mixed feelings about this. I'm either going to love it or I'm going to hate it. And so if you guys have actually read this before, please let me know below. Now it's time to draw those Advent picks. Now we get to pick from the Advent Gift to Myself jar. So I'm really excited. We're getting lower. I'm getting through these. We'll pick 1 and 2. And hopefully it won't be like last time where there were some that I'd actually already done. So going in here, and it looks like More Than You'll Ever Know by Katie Gutierrez, I believe it is. And the second one is Counterfeit by Kristen Chen. Ooh, I'm excited. So that was fun. Advent pick number 1 was More Than You'll Ever Know by Katie Gutierrez, I believe it's pronounced. Basically, this follows Lore Rivera, I think her name is, and she, believe it or not, is married to 2 different men at the same time. At least she's married to them until one finds out and shoots the other. Oh dear. I think this will be interesting, almost like a true crime kind of deal. The second one that we drew was Counterfeit by Kirsten Chen. And this one was also a Reese Witherspoon pick at one point, and it follows 2 Asian American women who become friends and band together to create counterfeit bags, and they turn this scheme into a global enterprise. I cannot wait to read this. Now it's time for the Bookopoly Rule. Last time we landed on the Cozy Mystery. And if we roll doubles, we have to roll a second one. 6. I'll take that and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which has us landing on Crooked Kingdom, which means I get to read a book by Leah Bardugo, which is exciting. I also want to point out, just like I said before, once I pass Go, which Go is the library down here, that whoever calls it out first as having seen me go around and can name even one of the books that I picked for my TBR will get a prize with me as I reward myself. So like if I get a bookmark, they'll get one too. So we are really, really close, you guys. So be paying attention on these TBRs. Well, yay! Oh, Bookopoly was so good to me because I love Leah Bardugo, and I had the perfect book to read, and that is The Language of Thorns, Midnight Tales and Dangerous Magic by Leah Bardugo. This will be a thin, I think, quick, easy read. It's a collection of short stories of myth, folklore, magical fairy tales, all the fun things. So next we do the number generator, and whenever I spun the little spinner there, it landed on 107, which is, it feels kind of random sometimes whenever I do this, but I have to just shorten that massive list of like 300 that are on my phone that are just ever increasing when I watch videos and get, things from you guys that you recommend reading. And so it's important to go through it, but sometimes it doesn't quite fit exactly what I'm reading for the month, and this is one of those cases, but I'm still excited to read One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I've had this on my shelf for a very long time. It's a beautiful edition, and if it's not a 5-star, it'll definitely be up for grabs. But basically, this is following Elspeth, who has a entity living inside of her head that's slowly taking over her mind, and she calls it the Nightmare. Well, one day she meets a highwayman who's very mysterious, and they end up having to, I guess, work together to help the town that's been infected by some dark magic. But there's some secrets that Elspeth hasn't told him. So I'm wondering, is there going to be a romance there? So I'm excited to read this, regardless of it feeling like it fits in or not. Next, we're going to continue on down that Star Wars timeline. So the next book to pick up is Knight Errant by John Jackson Miller. And apparently right now in the Star Wars universe, the Sith are unchecked. They are just roaming around. They're causing chaos, blood, murder, all the bad things. And so Kira, I think her name is Holt. Yeah, Kerra. Kira Holt is determined to take them down by herself if she has to. I'm also continuing the Robin Hobb series, like all of the books. This next trilogy is called the Tawny Man Trilogy, and the first book is Fool's Errand. I know nothing about it. I'm hoping it's better than those live ship traders were for me. I miss Fitz, you guys. I want Fitz back. Now let's talk about some book clubs I'm in. I'm now only in 2 of them. One is from Kim with Whimsical Narratives, her Patreon group in the Queen Anne's Lace Cottage. For this month, we're doing fiction, and it's going to be Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. As you already know by now from watching my review last month, I have actually already read this, but I'm really going to enjoy piping in and giving my opinions and thoughts whenever we have our group discussion and our live, event after everybody's read it. But that's all I'm going to say about that because I don't want to spoil anything. If you haven't gone and listened to my review, you need to. So moving on, the other book club I'm part of is my own, the ABC Book Club. I'll have links below and everything. You're welcome to join us. It's very laid back and low key. We voted, and by, again, one vote, that happens a lot, we're going to be reading Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken. I am so excited about this. I've gotten 2 copies. This was in a book box. It's gorgeous. And this one was in a book box, and it's also nice and gorgeous. So again, even if it's a 5-star, I'm keeping only one, and the other one's up for grabs. And if I don't like it as a 5-star, then both will be up for grabs. But from what I understand, this will follow Tamsin, who's like a treasure seeker. So I kind of, in my mind at least, picture a kind of, why am I blanking now? Oh gosh, not Indiana Jones, but I was thinking of Laura Croft. There we go. So I'm picturing like a Laura Croft kind of individual, and she's going around just getting these treasures and stuff, of course, to make a living. And her brother, unfortunately, has been cursed. Well, rumors start going around that a very special and unique ring is out there for someone to find that would help to cure her brother. So the race is on. She's not the only one that wants this ring. I'm excited. So I hope to talk to you guys all month long about this and share our thoughts as usual and just have some fun. I also like to participate in the Reddit Fantasy Bingo board up here. I was supposed to do the YA Square last month, but I got a little bit behind. I went over that in my review. Please forgive me. So I'm gonna need to still fulfill that square. And so I'm going to read Ruin and Rising. I'm going to finish this series. So that is what I'm going to add to my TBR this month to get that square done. Then I'm going to move on to a new square, and that one's going to be self-published. And you're going to recognize this book because I was supposed to finish this one last month as well, and that's Stormless. So I absolutely want to support self-publish, and especially since he's a high school student, that is just incredible to me. And so these 2 are going to be the ones I finish for the bingo, and I promise I will finish them this month. So to fulfill my promise of also reading books that are prompted by bookish items that I receive in book boxes, I am going to finally start the Black Witch Chronicles. This has been talked about a couple times in different sprints that I've been a part of, so it's really kind of been on the back burner, and it's really intrigued me. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up because we did get some items from Owl Crate before that had to do with that, and so I want to make sure that I get into this and see what it's all about. The very first book of the Chronicles is The Black Witch, and it follows Ellerin Gardner, I believe, and she's like the granddaughter of the last prophesized Black Witch who was able to push back the enemy forces and save the whole town and people that are there. And so she looks, I guess, identical to her grandmother, but has no power at all. She decides to kind of make a name for herself and get out from under that shadow by joining a university to be able to learn how to be an apothecary. Things were going well, but then the enemy starts to come back. And what is she going to do without having these powers? So it's going to be kind of cool to see how she forges her own path and hopefully saves the day. Now, I don't know about you, but I seem to have a plethora of series that I start that come in book boxes or that are recommended by people, and I never finish the series. I literally have gone off the page, and it's a two-page spread that's in my book that I've filled up with series that I'm tracking to make sure that I finish them. So something that I've added to this card in place of the backlist book club, since I'm not doing that anymore and I would normally have an additional book to read for that, I am now placing a book that I'm going to be continuing a series with, so I can finally finish those series. So join me, please, as I chose this month to finally finish The Daughters of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I'm finishing with Dreams of Gods and Monsters. I just want to know what happens with Kieran. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything. But if you know, you know, and it's a chunker, but I cannot wait to finally finish this series and see what happens. Now is the time when I like to talk about my top 3 new releases that are coming out in July this year that I am super excited about. The first will be coming out technically already out. Technically came out June 30th. Came out a little bit earlier than they were saying initially whenever I created this list. But we're going to definitely still add this to the want to read list, and that's Those We Drown by Amy Goldsmith. Now, this one follows Liv and her best friend who are on a semester at sea kind of voyage and program. And all of a sudden, Liv's best friend disappears. Now, everybody says he's just sick and to let it go and it's not a big deal. But she can't shake that feeling. You know what I mean, that feeling. And so she just knows something dark and sinister is lurking under the water and nobody's willing to talk about it. So seems kind of cool, right? So I'm going to be picking that one up. Next, that actually doesn't come out until July 18th, is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. Now, this one was inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, and so I think this is going to be kind of cool and written in the way that only she can. The last one that I'm super excited about coming out, also on July 18th, and this should surprise absolutely nobody who's watched me at all, is Jennifer Armentrout's number 5 in the Blood and Ash series, the finale, A Soul of Ash and Blood. I don't want to say anything about this other than it being the finale because I don't want to give away anything that happens in the prior books, and even naming characters and wondering what happens to them would say if they made it or not, so I don't want to say anything. I'm just really excited to have this wrapped up and see what happens. Oh, I love this story so much. This totally won me over as an Armentrout fan. And last but certainly not least is the workout challenges that I'm doing. I am continuing those, of course. I'm going to continue down those stairs with Nesta, and I'm going to continue to walk the miles with Frodo in the Lord of the Rings challenge. Thank you guys so much. Woo! We made it to the end of the video. Thank you for sticking around, and thank you guys so much for making this such a fun channel. I enjoy having those sprints with you every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, and I enjoy chatting with you, getting to know you better there, and in the book club, the Discord channel. I just can't thank you guys enough. You've made this journey so much fun, and I can't wait to see where it continues to take us. Have a great July.